look, today is, our attention to detail, and you certainly need it when you're playing a team like Army that is going to be physical and then forces you to be disciplined as well. So, working on option reads, the physical aspect of their offense, and then, defensively, they're extremely aggressive. So it's been a week of really talking a lot about, playing physical and playing disciplined. And so, I think our guys understand what the task is at hand on Saturday. We've talked a lot about the periphery of the game in terms of, first time in Tiger Stadium, and we're excited about that, but we got a game to play as well, and an opponent that, causes you problems if you're not thinking the right way and playing the game the way it needs to be played against Army. So it's been a week that has focused on that. So with that, I'll open up to questions.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, a game like this, just what do you want to see from your linebackers and how important they are in facing offense like this?
Yeah, so again, I think it's kind of what I said at the outset. You're looking for, eye discipline. Your reads are such that, you're seeing the guard pull, but, you might have the tight end running down the middle of the field, and you've got them in coverage. And so these contradictory reads within, the option offense are what challenge you, so much, especially at the linebacker position and the safety position, because, you're used to seeing guard pull and, you're thinking, all right, I'm going to fill my gap, but you have the number 3, and if he runs vertical off of, an option read, there's now nobody's on him. So, just being disciplined is what we'll need to see from our linebackers, and getting off blocks. They're obviously really good up front. They know what they're doing.
With Jayden, was there a certain point when you knew that maybe he had made this full step as like a downfield passer in particular? Was there something you saw where it kind of clicked that, okay, this was coming?
I think at the tail end of last year, we saw some things in our bowl preparation, certainly, but I think the Georgia game, we saw some really good things, and then that continued in preparation. And then obviously the bowl game, we saw him really pushing the ball vertically. That continued into the spring and into preseason camp. So I think there were many signs last year, later in the season, rolling right into the bowl game and then into spring ball. So I think it was over a period of probably 5 or 6 months that we clearly felt like he was emerging as the guy that could push the ball down the field.
It's been really hard to poke any holes in kind of what you guys are doing offensively right now. Just for you guys, though, week to week, just what are some of the things that you can continue to refine or improve? I mean, just what does the improvement look like when an offense is running like this?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. We think we need to be better in the red zone, converting field goals into touchdowns. We've spent a lot of time on that this week. We changed up the way we practice a little bit. We've always been red zone later in the week. We tend to pull the practice back a little bit in terms of tempo on Thursday, but we went with red zone earlier in the week so we can go with a little bit more speed. We thought our timing was off a little bit in the red zone, so we made some adjustments there. Some balls were behind receivers, and maybe we felt like timing was off a little bit. So a little bit more of attention to detail with the red zone work, and then continue to expand the running game. As you know, we're a heavy inside zone team, zone read. We want to be able to add some complementary plays to that as well, and I think that's where we're expanding.
Speaking of Jayden Daniels, like what I see all the time, he's here, is that it just seems like he's smiling, like all the time. We're like 85% of the time, we're like, no matter if it's on the field or off, it's almost like he's like never frowning whatsoever. What do you make of that? And like, how much does the team build off that, such positive energy?
Well, I think he's been that way since he got here. I mean, he's a guy with a, great mindset, great outlook, loves to play the game, loves to be around his teammates, and he's a guy that doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, but he's always since he's gotten here, I think he's handled himself with that positive demeanor, whether it's been good or bad. So I think he's been really consistent and been a positive piece to what we're doing since he got here.
Right, way over here, sorry, technical difficulties.
No, I understand.
Way over here.
Gotta keep those things charged.
It's not that, I don't know what's going on. Obviously, you started being a head coach at a pretty young age, 28?
Yep.
20. So you've been in college a long time, but surely you had opportunities to go to the NFL at some point. When did you figure out, or did it over a period of time did you come to realize that you were best suited for the college game, or this was where and like I said, you've been in running programs for a long time, so maybe you didn't want to not do that, but when did you realize this was the best thing for you as far as football coaching?
I think it was, probably, my time as a collegiate head coach, I got a chance to really shape my roster, handle the scholarships, determine, obviously, all the complexions of what your program looks like. And so all of those things, the buck stopped with me. When I got a chance to look at the NFL, I saw a decentralized model that there was a director of personnel, there was a GM, and so a lot of those buckets were not in my control. And I'm not a control freak by any means, but I would not have control of some of the things that I thought were very essential in building a successful program. And I think that's when I saw that wasn't what I was looking for, and that my real why was I love player development. That's why I got in it, and watching players develop and grow, you don't get that same opportunity in the NFL as you do in college.
Hey Coach, talking about special teams, what's been your evaluation of the return game so far this season, both punting and kick returns?
I think we've been stable at the punt return game. I think Greg's done a really good job fielding the football. There's one here or there that you'd like him to field, but he protects our possessions on offense. And I think our kickoff return game has been good. Our average field position the last 3 weeks we've won. We would have won it handily if we fielded a ball at the end of the half. We took the returner off, not to cause any issues, because we were going to nail on the ball anyway. So that's hidden yardage that you don't see. So we've been pretty good, I think, in most phases. We've been really good with our kickers. So, I would grade it out as, they're doing a really good job. We'd like to be a little bit more dynamic at the punt return position, and we're going to continue to work to be that way.
You all reached a decision with Deuce?
Deuce is inactive. He's still on scholarship, he's still on the roster, but he is inactive right now.
Then just where's Quincy Wiggins at in his development? What do you kind of think of what's going on with him?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I think there's some depth issues there relative to him seeing some playing time. I think Parrish Shand has done a really good job of coming in and really technically developing, which has been a logjam for Quincy in terms of getting on the field. I think there's going to be some space there for him in time, but this is still about him continuing to develop. Going.
I thought you were.
Wilson's got one where he's got to get it all in now, because he's not going to be allowed to talk sports next week.
I'll be here for the question.
Okay.
I'm trying to take advantage of this time.
Just think of anything. Just whatever it is. I'll ask the question. where are you going for your 100? No, I'm kidding.
Any recommendations? I guess back to Jayden for a second. Is there something specific about the work or maybe a change in the prep that has maybe helped allow this to happen this year too?
I would say a couple of things. First of all, he is somebody that is so diligent at his progression and wanting to be good at progression read that his work in the off season was unbelievable. How much time he spent here. I don't know if you know the story, but we changed our protocols and procedures in terms of letting players into the building. We used to cut them off at a certain time. We gave him unlimited access to the building because he was in here 5 o'clock in the morning and he was here late at night. He just lived in this building and watching film and just learning the offense, and he knows it so well that when I'm sitting in those meetings, it's amazing the progression that he has made relative to understanding all the nuances of the offense, and that's on him. He did that. Then he took that to our walkthrough room with virtual reality and went through all the movements. So not only was it, the learned part of it, it was then the actual seeing it, and now it's just muscle memory, and that was his development. Now, Joe Sloan laid out a great plan of development, and that was part of the reason of getting him back, is that we had a plan made out over a 6-month period of time, and he followed it and put himself in a really good position.
Coach, you mentioned the virtual reality. Is that sort of technology you guys have within the building here, and like how do you?
Yeah, we use it in our walkthrough room, which allows him to see the entire actual width of a defensive set. He can see everything in its actual size, and so with the goggles on, he can actually we can put up a play, one of our own plays, and a defensive structure from the year, blend it in, and pressures, coverages. He can take his drop and he can work through his progression. So it's pretty good technology for him. Great, thanks guys.